Hi, it's Cara and today we are talking about Circe by Madeline Miller. This novel follows the goddess Circe, who is mentioned in the Odyssey and I think in some other classic Greek tales. She is the daughter of Helios, the sun god, and she gets in with Odysseus after all. Circe in herself is not normally, doesn't have her own stories per se, and is normally part of other people's stories, but Madeline Miller really focuses on telling the stories of characters in Greek mythology in a way that reads very much like historical fiction, but obviously, and really explores these characters that don't really get to see the light so much. Like the Song of Achilles, which was her previous novel, was from the point of view, closely followed Achilles' lover and friend Patroclus. Circe is a goddess, but she's also a witch, and for this she's banished to this island called Aiaia. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, but close I can get. She lives alone there, except for some varying guests that come to visit her from time to time, and some various different side adventures she goes on. These include Hermes and Odysseus' son Telemachus. As always, Madeline Miller does a great job in making these myths feel real and closer to reality. Circe feels like a woman that can be related to, and even as she uses the powers of her divinity, I guess, still strongly a person first, dealing with all the relationships and emotions that come with being a woman in this time. Circe is a goddess who prefers the company of the mortal men, or mortal people. Mortal men sounds like she's just there for some sex or something, but no, mortal humans, rather than other gods. And that really leads for a good narrative here. I'm a fan of reading Madeline Miller's novels in the lead up to reading some of the traditional pieces. So I read the Song of Achilles, and then shortly after, or earlier this year actually, I read the Iliad, and then after finishing this, I've now read the Odyssey. And I really enjoy that way of doing things. I feel like her prose, Madeline Miller's prose, really gives you an insight into these characters in a way that feels much more personal, whereas Homer's writing is very detached for a modern audience. Obviously, the plot flows in a more modern style of narrative with peaks and troughs, better than the Odyssey. The Odyssey has a very campfire story style way of telling things, obviously because it's a poem. All this I think makes it much more interesting for the modern reader and a better way to engage a modern reader in the story. Although this novel spanned generations, it was still concise and well formulated, and I really enjoyed it. As I mentioned previously, I really love Madeline Miller's prose. Perhaps I think the only thing that didn't work perfectly for me in this story was the ending and the climax. I found that the ending was a little bit anticlimactic, but I guess there's only so much scope as to where the story can go in this kind of retelling. A lot of the action takes place in the middle third, I would say. So the start and the end especially, was a little bit of a letdown. But then again, I'm comparing this to the fast-paced tragic end of the Song of Achilles, and Circe's story just doesn't lend itself to that. So I can totally understand why that's the case. Regardless, I strongly admire the way Madeline Miller writes these stories, and she's an author I will continue to auto buy. In the end, I gave Circe 4.5 stars. I'm such a fan of these books and would really recommend them to those young adults who grew up on myths, especially Greek mythology like Percy Jackson, because this is a good transition into adult literature in that vein. And very readable too. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon with another video. Bye!